Hi everyone, welcome to the Betfred Derby Preview Show. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be previewing the three Group 1 races at the Betfred Derby Festival. They are the Betfred Derby, the Betfred Oaks and the Betfred Coronation Cup. There's loads to tackle in that time. I'm joined by an excellent panel of guests to take you through all the runners across those three races. They are Betfred's Matt Hulmes, Frankie Foster, Betfred ambassador, and Derby winning rider Martin Dwyer. Welcome along, all of you. Matt, start with you first of all. Betfred are the classic bookmaker. There's $2 million on the line for anyone to do the treble. We don't think it's likely necessarily, but you must be excited by the prospect of Ruling Court tackling it.
Massively, Tom. Yeah, we are the classic bookmaker. We have got all 5 classics now, and he's a genuine contender, isn't he? The way it's one of them where you want him to win the Guineas, something with a bit of a stout pedigree, and that's what he's got. You know, he's by an American Triple Crown winner, so it's a great story. There's £2 million on the line, and he's really solid in the market for the Derby. And if he was to go and win it, and it's all about the Betfred St Ledger. So, no, it's really exciting. It is exciting times. Yeah,
I guess it's one step along the road if he goes and wins this. And then, well, you know, stamina doubts maybe, but $2 million on the line, maybe he'll go and tackle that race in September. That's a little way off. We've got to take in the race, Frankie, first of all, on Saturday, where there's a potential of a full field. I mean, 20 at this stage. We've obviously got the draw and declarations tomorrow as things stand. Maybe 1 or 2 will come out. But either way, it's going to be a big field derby.
It's exciting, isn't it? Like Matt mentions, Ruling Court as the talking horse, but we don't have a standout horse at the top of the market, which makes it interesting, and we'll dive into that. And there's all the big players who are involved. You've got the Dante winner after just 2 starts trying to do what Desert Crown did. You've got the Will Ryan ride the Lion in Winter or Delacroix chat. You've got Ruling Court, who Matt spoke about. You've got a couple from France, and plenty of runners, all with chances, really. So makes it harder to find the winner, but it makes it a more exciting race to watch.
Yeah, and I think from a punting perspective, it's got maybe something that the Oaks doesn't hit in a way, and that is the possibilities of massive prizes that punters and you at home might want to get on side with. We talked about that draw taking place 10:45 on Wednesday, so you've got 72-hour declarations for the first time. The draw's going to be all important, right?
Yeah, absolutely, especially if it's going to be a full field. And I know myself riding in some of these derbies where there's a lot of runners, draw is imperative and a good early position. So a lot of the jockeys with good rides will be having their fingers crossed tomorrow when the draw is done, hoping they get a middle draw.
I was going to say, you want to be middle to high.
You want to be middle. I mean, listen, we've had winners from the last few years from stall 1, and I just think it makes life easier as a jockey. If you're drawn in the middle, you've got more options. If you're drawn low, you can get flattened when they come across. You have to waste petrol to get an early position. If you're drawn high, you have to work harder to get a position where if you're in the middle, you just got more options. So I'm guessing most jockeys will be looking for a middle draw.
All right, well, let's have a look at the draw first of all. Then this is the Race IQ data on the perceived draw advantage. Just to explain this for you, this is worked out over the last 12 years. This is races over 1.5 miles at Epsom. It's specific to the field size. We're likely to have a bigger field here. If you are drawn in 14, for example, you have got a length advantage of 0.51 compared to, say, 4, which is perceived as not such a helpful draw, of -0.48. So a length advantage if you are drawn in that 14 over 4. You can see there that essentially, as Martin was pointing out, middle to higher just gives you that advantage, and that is because if you are lower, you're running uphill straight away before you go into that turn, turn one way before you go back the other way, and you're just giving away a bit more ground. You can win from there, but it's just not as easy, and you're likely to give away lengths. Past winners, let's have a look at these. So this is the last 10. Go back to Golden Horn, Frankie Dettori, John Gosden, Harzan for the late Pat Smullen and Dermot Weld in the famous colours as well. And of course, this year's derby is going to be run in honour of the late His Highness the Aga Khan. Wings of Eagles, that was a surprise. Massar, Anthony Van Dyke, Serpentine, Adayar, another one for Charlie Appleby there. Desert Crown, Auguste Rodin and City of Troy, the 2 horses that came out of disappointing reappearances, both at Newmarket in the Guineas, to take the derby. We know that the Lion in Winter, albeit it wasn't in the Guineas, needs to come away from a disappointing reappearance to take this year's race. But it doesn't have a similar profile. Don't think he's going to go off favourite either. What about the market then? Let's have a look at how it's shaping up this year. So you've got Delacroix is 5-2. Much of that is because of the announcement, not an official announcement, but a statement from Aidan O'Brien late last week that it would be hard for Ryan Moore to ride the Lion in Winter over Delacroix. Ruling Court, the Guineas winner is 7-2. Pride of Arras 5-1. The Lion in Winter 6-1. 12s and bigger the rest. Matt, I'll ask you. Do you think Delacroix is certain to go off favourite? And with that, you can link into the top price offer as well.
Until the last 24 hours, I would have said yes, but there is definitely a lot of momentum now behind Ruling Court. A lot will depend on what we find out what Ryan Moore's going to ride. But yeah, I think at the minute, the way the support is coming for Ruling Court, I'm not convinced that Delacroix will go off favourite, and maybe even joint favourites, but something around about that 3-1 mark. But yeah, we are going to go top price right now. Delacroix is rated whilst the show lasts, so that's going to be 7-2. And also, we'll come to the Oaks shortly, but Desert Flower has been really well back today. A lot of support for her as well. So we're going to go top price here, which right now 6-4 for the next hour.
OK, today, Tuesday, as things stand. Interesting. So Delacroix is your top price offer on that. Delacroix, I'll come to you, Martin, is a horse who I feel like we're saying he's done nothing wrong so far this season. Saying that about a Derby favourite. He's done nothing wrong so far because he's 2 from 2 with the Ballysax and the Derby trial. But I guess he's not, you know, the profile is not, it doesn't feel superstar at this stage. But do you think he's a rightful favourite?
I do. He's my idea of the winner. I think he ticks more boxes than most. I think Ruling Court is a better horse, personally, but I don't think he's a better horse than Delacroix over the 1.5 miles. And Delacroix has been impressive in his 2 wins at Leopardstown. Yes, not flashy, not absolutely galloping away from his field, but he's progressed with each run. And I just think he's the most straightforward horse. We'll watch him here. This is when he beat Lambourne. And I just like the way he's so easy to ride. He's a jockey's dream. He made the running on this occasion. And then when Ryan asked him to quicken, he really does hit top gear and he quickens off the last turn. And he's got too many gears for Lambourne on this occasion, but he's just so straightforward. He's a balanced, well-balanced horse. He really gallops well. Look at the way he quickens. It's not absolutely flashy, but he just ticks all the boxes for me.
Okay, you certain he'll stay?
Yes.
Frankie?
He's got a good turn of foot, hasn't he? I think he'll stay. I just don't know if he's good enough.
Yeah, OK.
If you think back to the unwavering support behind City of Troy last year, and even for Auguste Rodin, the Coolmore team, Aidan O'Brien, were so certain of the quality of horse. I don't even thinking track-wise, trip-wise, just the absolute quality and how much they thought of City of Troy. We're not getting that from Delacroix. I mean, we were almost getting that from the Lion in Winter at the start of the season or the end of last season. And I'm not saying it's the reason to completely write off a horse's chance because, you know, they weren't #1 at the start of the year. But I don't think Ryan is riding Delacroix as a result of him coming forward loads. I think it's maybe because the Lion in Winter hasn't progressed as they thought he might, and that. So
he's not favourite because of what he has done. He's favourite almost because of what the Lion in Winter hasn't.
Yeah, like... Which is it's not a reason to completely write him off. Obviously, I mean, the second best Coolmore horse at the start of the year can still win the Derby, and he can progress into the best Derby horses as what we're looking at. But I just don't. You don't get that positive vibes from the camp at all. You know, it's like, well, Ryan will see what he wants to ride. We think we've got 2 horses or a couple of horses in there with a good chance, and I just don't get that sort of feel that they think he is as good as previous Betfred Derby winners. Which, when you have a field with a Betfred Guineas winner in, you have a really impressive Dante winner off 2 stars. You start to look at the rest of the field and weigh that up against a slight lack of confidence, and I just probably look elsewhere. OK, let's hear what trainer Aidan O'Brien has had to say most recently on Delacroix.
We always viewed him as a Derby horse last year. He got a mile last year well, and we thought that he would have no problem getting a 1.25 miles, and it looks that way now. His 2 trials were a little bit more slowly run than we would have liked. We would have maybe seen a little bit more, but he can't do any more than he did. He relaxed, he quickened and won them both very easily, and he won them with a quicken, really. Usually if a horse gets a 1.25 miles and they're high class, you will get away with a 1.5 miles in Epsom usually. So it will be interesting to see, but everything has went very well with him. Like I say, his 2 runs, happy with his work, and yeah, so far so good.
And you said earlier in the week that it might be hard for Ryan to get off Delacroix. I mean, that could have a big bearing.
Yeah, I think so, and at the moment it is definitely very hard for him to get off. Like, his 2 trials, very impressive in both, and the 2 trials he won always have been good trials for us, for a horse coming from Ireland. So it will be very hard. I'm not saying he won't, because Ryan could, and we'll see how the Lion in Winter's next few pieces of work go. And Ryan, he doesn't have to decide until at 1 o'clock of declaration morning, I think, 1 o'clock that day. So it will be interesting. He'll weigh up all the things. But I would say at the moment, he's probably more likely to ride Delacroix than the Line of Winter, but that could change over the next week.
Imagine if it changes. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Muddied the waters again, hasn't he?
It could change.
I still think it could.
Well, it could, definitely. Listen, they don't have to decide yet, do they? No. You're going for this horse. I feel like you're doing that because you have to have doubts about Ruling Court staying, because at this stage he's the best horse. Yeah,
I think Ruling Court is a better horse, but not over this distance. I think Delacroix, he ticks all the boxes for me. He's got the stamina. You know, he's by Derby, but he's half-brother to a Mile 6 Group 1 winner and Grateful. He will stay, and I thought he was impressive in both his trials at Leopardstown. I said it a while back. Ollie Bell put something on Twitter. Don't lose faith in Lion in the Winter, and I actually responded and said I think Ryan will ride Delacroix, and that was a few weeks ago. So I'm sticking with Delacroix. I think Ruling Court's a better horse, but I think he'll be better at this distance, and he's so straightforward.
All right, Ruling Court, he was the only horse that Charlie Appleby entered in the Derby. It may have been a change of tack from Godolphin this year not to enter so many. I think it's interesting he was the only one that he did enter. He was very good at Meydan Matt on his reappearance, and he was excellent on this day, where, you know, I know he showed loads of speed, but Will Buick got rolling nice and early with him. I think he rode him as a horse who he felt had stamina for the distance. What do you make of this? What do you make of him as a Derby prospect?
Yeah, well, obviously he ran in the Acomb as a 2-year-old, isn't he? Behind Line in Winter, so they're obviously thinking going further. And I just think it's one of them where he won the Guinea. Obviously, you might have been a little bit fortunate to win the Guinea. We've seen what Field of Gold has come out and done at the Curragh, but I do think he will stay. And William Buick has said, you know, he's certain. They think he's certain to get 10. And you probably can get away with Epsom, a 10-furlong horse. Look, he's by Justify. He's out of a High Chaparral mare who has won a Derby. So I think there is certainly stamina there. If he was to win, the ledge would be a completely different question. But I think the market is starting to latch on now that the trials have been quite murky. I know I've had some nice winners of trials. Well, this is classic form. This is classic form that he's bringing into it now. And they've always said that the Guineas is the best Betfred Derby trial. So I think that's what punters are starting to latch on to. We've had a few question marks come from the trials, the Lion Winter obviously being one of them, where the Ruling Court is bringing top-class classic and form that has already been franked. So I think that's where we're going, and I think he'll stay. There's a little bit of rain around. There's quite a bit of rain around. That would be another question mark, I think, for him. But I think he's the best horse in the race, and I think he brings in the best form. Yeah,
I'm with you. I think he's the most likely winner. He's my pick in the race. I feel like Charlie Appleby has a vision of him as a Derby winner, and I think he was sort of not pleasantly surprised with his Guineas success, but I think if you looked at one of the classics at the start of the season for him, he would have been earmarking him as a Derby horse as opposed to perhaps a Guineas horse where he had other bits of ammunition, I know. And I think the fact that he won the Guineas, we're paying too much attention to him as a Guineas horse with lots of speed. I think he's got loads of stamina. We've said a few times you can get away with it at Epsom over 1.5 miles. Can you? No. OK. You can't. It's not. I mean, it's 1.5 miles. It's stiff off. It's uphill. You go downhill, but you know, if he stays the 1.5 miles, so there's any doubts about stamina? No.
In my opinion, no. In my experience riding, you know, I've been lucky enough to win all the 3 Group 1 races at Epsom, and you need a horse with stamina that can stay. You can't really get away with it. If he stays, he wins Ruling Court, but he's got too much speed for me. He's quick out of the gate. That was a slow-run race to Guineas, by the way. And he's beaten a sprinter. He's beaten Shadow of Light, who's going to probably win the Commonwealth Cup. Field of Gold was sat too far back on a slow-run race, and he come out and won the Irish Guineas. But he's got so much speed for me. I just see 1.5 miles being too far. If I'm wrong, but you can't get away with it. I just think that's a myth.
Pride of Arras was a very good winner at York. I guess he's come slightly out of left field, if you like, because nobody was necessarily expecting him to be 3rd, 4th in a market for a Derby going into this race. But Frankie, he was good this day.
He was very good, and I really don't think that Rosser has got to the bottom of him at all. Listening to Rosser talk the last week or so, he seems very excited about his chances, and rightly so, because he goes through the race really, really nicely. I know that people are saying, OK, it wasn't run at the strongest pace. How's the form going to work out? Maybe he's been flattered. But Rosser really hasn't gone for him. He's just kind of nursed him along, weaved him through a couple of horses, kept him interested, and he's won very, very easily. So I'm forever the optimist. I'm always siding with horses that we don't know the full amount of any of these Betfred Derby contenders, but he still has a lot of unknown about him. He's just had 2 starts. He's won both of them. You really don't know how good he could be when properly asked to go and get after a race, and that's what makes him exciting for me. I think this was a massive performance, and he's right on the map for me.
Do we think, as a group, well, I'll ask you individually, more impressive that win than anything Delacroix has done, yes or no? Not for you, clearly, because you fancy Delacroix.
I don't think visually that was more impressive, and he's given a mark 115 off that win. It wasn't an explosive Dante win, but as Frankie said, there could be so much more improvement. He's still a baby, only his 2nd run, so there could be more. But he's going to have to upgrade on that to win the Derby, in my opinion.
OK, quick, same to you, the same question. More or less impressive than what Delacroix has done?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's more impressive. He's a big price that day. I wouldn't been put off by the prices. I think a lot of Rafe Beckett's horses in the trials had run below par, and I think people latched onto that, and he was a very big price, but it was impressive. It usually does work out to be the best trial. It was a bigger field than normal than the Dante, wasn't it? And there's a few in there that are happy to take him on again.
Do you think they feel like they have a tiny hold on the Delacroix form via Stanhope Gardens? I know it's early in their career, but if you were sat on, or you knew you were going to be riding Pride of Arras, and you were trying to weigh up against a stablemate, you're clinging on to the fact that maybe Stanhope Gardens got close to Delacroix and you think you're on a better horse at home. Maybe I'm clutching at straws for
no, look,
there, but,
he beat him as a 2-year-old, like you say, so maybe.
You know, if you're at least trying to get a gauge on what other trials looked like, they do have that slight gauge.
Confirming Frankie is with Pride of Arras, the Dante winner there. We should have a look at Lambourne as well. So this was at Chester. We've obviously already touched on the fact that Lambourne chased home Delacroix at Leopardstown. Matt, Lambourne, I guess he's one of those Derby horses, and you don't want to discount them at all, that, you know, he's an Aiden 3rd string, but he's guaranteed to stay. Like, he will stay. We know he stays.
Yeah, well, we were both at Chester, weren't we, when he won that day, and my initial thought was, see you at Doncaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, he's definitely going to be a better festival.
Reminds me of Los Angeles a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't go down the Ledger route, but yeah, he's a big horse, isn't he?
Not flashy, but...
Yeah, it takes a while to get into full gear, top gear, but he went round the bend nicely at Chester.
I thought it was impressive at Chester, but I exactly the same as Matt. I thought it was a Ledger horse. He just lacks a change of gear. He came off the bridle at Chester a long way out, and Ryan had to really stoke him up. And then when he got on top, he was going strong at the line. He definitely stays. And it might will they use him as a bit of a pacemaker or?
That's the imponderable. I was just going to say, Wings of Eagles like to change a gear, but they did use him as a pacemaker. When you get the one you fancy and then they go forward, it's rare, although it has happened, it's rare they stay there and you go, ah.
Do you think that would be a massive negative for Ruling Court?
If they... Listen, it's very difficult. If you're going to stay a mile and a half, you need to stay. And a pacemaker Aiden might not necessarily make it a real test. They might slow it up early to get him keen, Ruling Court. So they might have a plan. I think they'll use Lambourne and maybe make the run-in, but then if they start to slow things up in the middle and Ruling Court travel like he did in the Guineas, that's the difference. When you go a mile to a mile and a half, the pace is so much slower. And then when you get a horse keen and latching on a bit because they're used to going that much faster, the best way to get a horse beat is to get it out of its comfort zone. Either taking off the bridle or on the bridle too much. So this is one of those, what's the word you use? Imponderables.
Very good.
I should have wrote it down.
Weirdly, you said it without a Scouse accent. When you say a big word, you have to say it in the Queen's English.
You and Tom Bull are rubbing off on me. But you go into these races and you have as a jockey, all these things in your mind, what can happen, and the worst thing you want, stepping up 4 furlongs, is a horse over-travelling.
Right, one of you, just the punters out there are going to want something at silly odds that's going to nab a place. One of the green team horses.
Exactly what I said.
We've got to give him something.
It's got to be Al Wastle Storm. He's done it before. Darren was 4th. Obviously, I'm sure he'll be up to place when we find out the final field. Huya Mal. He's always got a horse that runs well at a massive price. What is it, 100 to 1?
$7,000 it cost. Be a good story.
Jumpers pedigree.
I'm not sure on form.
Yeah.
Anything?
Well,
I have to.
I fancy Delacroix, so on that basis, Stanhope Gardens. He's a big price, isn't he?
Oh, mine's the same sort of thought.
He was a neck behind Delacroix, and he won. Well, he won that race at Salisbury, and perfect setup for him 2 weeks ago.
If I fancy Pride of Arras, I've got to fancy Damasus.
You probably do, yeah, off the back of that form.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That is our look at the Betfred Derby. Betfred Oaks up next, obviously takes place on the Friday, 4 o'clock, and these are our past winners and the draws that they came out of. Azalea last year, Dubawi for Chris Hayes and Dermot Weld. Soul Sister for John and Thady Gosden. Tuesday, Snowfall Love, completing an Aidan O'Brien treble. Anna Perner for John Gosden, Forever Together, Aidan O'Brien. Enable John Gosden's a theme here. Minding and Qualify was a massive price back in 2015. So a few low draws in there as well. 2 was Qualify, some wide ones as well. Look, we're not blessed with the biggest field this year per se, which is, I guess, a slight surprise given the doubts potentially about Desert Flower, the Guineas with the winner staying 6-4, Mini Hawk 4-1, Giselle 7-1, 15-2, and bigger. Matt, you've touched upon Desert Flower and the fact that she's the offer here. I mean, is it a sense of doubt in stamina going out to get her, or not necessarily?
Well, no, it's just we're going to be top price because it's what we do. Like to give the value because there's been a lot of money for her today. But, you know, we like to see the value.
Why do you think that is? What is it about her profile?
I'm not sure whether it's the muddled pecking order that's coming out, the vibes coming out of Ballydall. I mean, we saw a lot of money for Giselle last week, and then all of a sudden, in the last 48 hours, it's all been about Mini Hawk suggesting Ryan's now going to ride her. So whether it's the muddling around there, whether it's the rain that's surrounding her, I mean, obviously she's unbeaten. She's been absolutely faultless so far. There is obviously a slight doubt regarding stamina, but she is the one they've all got to be.
Just confirm that offer for us so we can
top price 6-4.
Top price 6-4 for right Desert Flower. And your non-runner no bet in the contest?
Yes, and the Derby as well.
OK, non-runner no bet in the Oaks and the Derby for the Betfred Derby Festival. Right, let's have a look at the Guineas. This is Desert Flower beating the supplemented El Wateen. Obviously, you know, Lake Victoria has come out, Frankie and Frank the form subsequent to this. Does she strike you as a filly? I was surprised on the day that they said straight away Oaks. To be completely honest, I didn't think that's necessarily the route they would go down. Yeah,
I guess I was biting my tongue a little bit listening to Mark talk about you have to definitely stay in class, can't get you through, because I wonder if class might get her through just because she travels so well. Not that I'm trying to take.
He's already told you you can't. He's won a Derby.
Exactly. That's why I wasn't going to argue it for the Betfred Derby, but I've got a bit of a chance for the Oaks because she is a short price favourite and she was very good. Look, she might not stay, but I just wonder, can she just travel for long enough at an easy enough pace for her to have a chance when it does get to the finishing end of the race? And that's how I think she's going to win. But then, as you start to look at it, and Cornwall have 3 runners, then they're going to play around and make it a test and try and make life difficult for her. But I certainly wouldn't put someone off based on the fact that she's not completely bred to stay when she is very, very good.
Well, Minding won an Oaks. She was best over a mile.
She was even better over a mile and a half.
Australia was a 10 furlong horse. He won a Derby.
Listen, it's all about opinions at this stage. But in my experience, you need a horse that stays, and you can't get away with it. And by the way, Charlie's been here before with really top-class fillies, and they haven't stayed. It's happened. And that filly, she was so quick out the stalls in the Guineas. She travels so well. Yes, she is the best horse. I mean, but at 6-4. A filly that's got to go another 4 furlongs, a lot to prove for me. Look, she's by Night of Thunder. He tried to run a 1.25 miles once in the Eclipse and got lapped. So came back to a mile. The mare Promise and Run was a Group 2 winner over mile 1 at Maidan, which is an easy mile 1. She finished 3rd in a listed race over mile 2. She's not bred to stay, and the style of racing doesn't suggest she'll stay, but she's very, very good. And if she does stay, she will win. But that's a big question mark at 6-4 for me.
You talked about Mini Hawk and the weight of money that's come for her. I confess to fancying her a little way up before the money came, and if I'm hand on heart looking at her price now, I'm going, woo, that's tight. But I guess I want to be with the one that Ryan Moore is likely to ride for obvious reasons. They'll have done things at home that tells him where or which filly he's best off riding. Look, I think of all of them, of all the trial winners, I was most impressed with her, with Mini Hawk, and that's why she's my pick in the race. I thought, obviously, Giselle won a 3-run race and nothing against her. It was a really nice performance. I think, which she proves she stays. Minnie Hawk has proven that as well. I think Whirl is a stamina-laden filly who just lacks that class, but she'll definitely stay. But I was impressed with Minnie Hawk out of all of them, and I guess I'm buoyed by the fact that Ryan is most likely, it seems at this stage, to ride her. So she is my pick. Let's hear from Aidan first of all. He can shed some light on his 3 fillies.
You mopped up all the trials, including the Lingfield Oaks trial with Giselle. It was just a 3-horse race, but she looked like she may have learnt a lot.
Yeah, she was just barely ready to go racing as well. She was nearly at the Line of Winters stage. She'd never been galloped, never been let off the bridle, because she got very keen in the winter and into the spring, so we had to be very careful training her. So she had a couple of blows in the straight in Lingfield, but still won very easily. She's improved a lot since then. Like I said, she's a strong traveller, can be over-strong. Her work the last morning was very good. There was massive improvement in her work from the time before that. So she's probably, obviously, definitely a very strong possible chance in the Oaks now as well, the way she has improved. And we always thought she was an Oaks filly, but because she got a little bit keen, we had to be careful with her, but very happy with her.
Let's talk about the Betfred Oaks, and again, Chester form. Minnie Hawk, she won the Cheshire Oaks.
Yeah, very happy to say. I'm just ready to start. We always liked her last year. She's come forward a lot from Chester. Her work the last morning was very good. So that will be interesting. She's a beautiful big Frankel filly, a good high cruiser. Shows loads of class in her work now, more than she did going to Chester. So I will be interested with her. Her is very straightforward. She won the Musadora. We think she'll get 1.5 miles. She's by Wooden Basset. She's a relaxed, a good traveller, and won the Musadora, but I think she kept going very well. She's uncomplicated. We think she'll get 1.5 miles. Obviously, you're never sure, but we think there's a very good chance that she will. She's lovely. She was fit going to the Musadora, so she's only taken over. But so far, so good with her.
OK, do you think he's got an idea who the best of them is, or not? I never know.
That's a tough question.
Like when you're speaking to him, do you, or not?
I'm not sure. I mean, to be fair, the last 2 years he has said, hasn't he? August Road was his Derby horse, City Troy was his Derby horse, and that's the one they pin the hopes. And when he does tend to run multiple numbers, maybe they're not so sure. And the market, the last 48 hours, I mean, I was pretty sure he'd be right. Ryan Moore would be on Giselle, looking at it this time last week. And now it looks very much like he's going to be on Minnie Hawk.
Has that put you off, Giselle? Because I know you like her.
A little bit. I'm not sure if it's the weather, with the rain that obviously is anticipated, because she does look an out-and-out stay Minnie Hawk. She was one of the first off the bridle at Chester, when she was well on top at the line. Giselle, I mean, obviously we saw her there. She works in a hood. She's very keen. She can be very keen, but she's impeccably bred. Beautiful. And they've always said from the outset, this is our Oaks filly. She looks like an Oaks filly. I shouldn't be too concerned about the rain, because she's just got Lope de Vega in there, so she shouldn't be too concerned. It's just how keen she is. They need to go quick.
And she's been beaten on the soft, which is
but
on pedigree.
I think she was a little unlucky that day, because I think she was hampered late. She was staying on. She was hampered, but she is keen. I think they're going to have to go a fair late. I think the quicker they go, the better her chances. She won't want to crawl.
And I guess it's not going to be the biggest field, so we don't know. Do you think he'll send one of them forward?
He might do, which one. They're all there on merit. Aren't they? They're all there on merit. They've all won their trials. I mean, World drifted. You couldn't give her away in the ring at York.
I know. Were we working together that day when World ran? We were, weren't we?
Yeah.
And you were very positive about her.
Yeah, I was impressed with her.
And then, but even after the race, they weren't immediate to say, well, we'll go Oaks with her. And I think we immediately said afterwards, well, horses that look like they're laden with stamina can be suited by Epsom over 1.5 miles, obviously, and she's the right one to run there. But it wasn't obvious after the race that this is what they were going to do. I
know, they didn't agree with us, did they, Tom? I watched this and thought, this filly's Oaks all day long. For me, look at this. So what are we, 1.5 miles a furlong? Look how far out Ryan kicks this filly in the belly. He's trying to find out where she lies in the pecking order and how far she really is going to stay. He really did send her on, and he didn't ease down on her. He really wanted to stretch her out, and I thought it was a very impressive win. I just love this filly's attitude. She's so tough, and I just thought here now, she just kept quickening away, and surely, I mean, there's not a question on her stamina going into the Oaks, and I was really impressed with this. I thought it was a really solid win.
Isn't there a question on the quality of the form?
Possibly. But, I mean, you could say that about the other Aidan O'Brien runners, apart from, you know, Desert Flower's got the best form, obviously. We've already spoke about her, but you could question the form of Giselle. I mean, she beat a couple of horses rated 80, all right, by 9 lengths, but one was beaten in a handicap next time. It just depends on how much they take a step forward. I mean, even Minnie Hawk, she didn't beat much. The filly she beat 2 home 2 days ago in Chantilly.
Isn't that the expectation as well, that she's going to take the Minnie Hawk and Gazelle, because it was their reappearances, are entitled to take the bigger steps forward? And of course, as we mentioned, they got form that ties in with each other with that soft ground success.
Yeah,
when Gazelle got beaten by Well.
Yeah, we've seen it before, haven't we, in O'Brien's, how much they can take a step forward. And it's interesting that he never usually brings his first-string 3-year-olds to York, because it's usually, he said, he doesn't like travelling over to there and then coming back and then travelling to Epsom so soon. But there's an extra week this year between the two, so it's a slight little change of MO that he took Whirl and the Lightning Winter to what looks like big hopes this year to York. But yeah, they are going to take a step forward. We've seen it so often, and he was really open in the VT in the interviews when we went over there, and he said they are going to take a big step forward from their trial wins to Epsom.
Obviously, there's plenty more in there who aren't trained at Ballydoyle. You've got Killing Queen, who looked pretty good with that trial success. Tom Marquand was in the winner's enclosure today at Leicester. Here's what he had to say.
She did do well at Newbury. I thought, like, Holly controlled the race well, and she probably showed a little bit more speed than what the filly probably half looked like she was going to show from that Newmarket run. But she pricked her ears that last 100 yards, and it was a snug enough tight margin. Always thought that the 1.5 miles would be more towards her trip, and yeah, looking forward to riding it.
Yeah, Holly Doyle was on board last time, but that was a happy household.
Tough to explain that one.
Why do you like her, Frankie?
I guess slightly by process of elimination as we go down the field. We've obviously spoke about Desert Flower, question marks over it. If she stays at a short price, then the water's a bit murky with the Coolmore squad. She doesn't. I mean, you'd probably be slightly disappointed if that was the Betfred Oaks winner in a weird way, but her form's not. No, I wouldn't be at 20 to 1 or whatever she is. But yeah, her form's not bad. She finished behind Luther, who ran a good race over in France. She ran a good race at Newbury. Talking about Desert Flower not staying, she's by Pinatubo, who wouldn't be your obvious sire.
She might get away with it, though.
But she did look quite tough at Newbury. And I just think, look, she's fairly exposed. There probably is one in there that's going to be higher class than her. But I think she looks tough. I think she's overpriced. Ed Walker's in good form. And where there's certainly question marks about many that are shorter prices, I'd be happy to have an each-way go in this. OK, and
unsurprisingly, you look like you're going for a filly who is laden with stamina. Confirm your selection, Martin Dwyer.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Whirl. I was impressed with her when she won the Musadora, and I like her attitude. She ticks a lot of boxes, like same as Delacroix.
I bet you thought if she was turning up on the day, or back a couple of weeks ago, she'd be a bigger price than she is now, but it's just not the biggest field, is it?
No, exactly. It's a smaller field, and yeah, Desert Flower, she's the best horse in the race, and but I just think the stamina doubts and a couple of Aidan runners in there, they might mess about with the pace and get her out of her comfort zone. So yeah, I'm going to stick with Whirl. I think they're very closely, all of Aidan's 3 runners, there's not much between them.
That's the classics done. Betfred Coronation Cup up next.
One down, 2 to go for the Betfred Triple Crown bonus.
He was faultless every step of the way, incredibly well balanced. Just loved everything he did and the way he did it.
Congratulations, Charlie. How does that feel?
It's enjoyable when you get the job done anyway. Next up, the Betfred Derby. Can Ruling Court make history?
It's Nijinsky, an easy winner of the Derby. Nijinsky the winner.
He's just 2 wins from collecting £2 million by achieving the Betfred Triple Crown bonus.
Fred has put up this bonus for a Triple Crown. You going to go for it?
I just spoke to Fred about it there once I found out the figure. Yeah, it's huge to the sport and it's much appreciated.
Amazing incentive from Betfred. Ruling Court, he's in the Derby, so it'd be lovely to see him there, and then who knows.
A Triple Crown winner would be fabulous for racing, and fabulously Betfred.
Can't thank Betfred enough for their support and sponsorship in these classics going forward.
So the final Group 1 we're going to be previewing is the Betfred Coronation Cup. Let's have a look at the market first of all. So I think while we've differed so far, by and large, I think we're all going to be in agreement here. And Clandagan is 8-13, from Jan Bruegel 7-2, Giavolotto is 11-2, You Got to Me 7-1, Al Riffa 12-1. Just market-wise, that horse, Clandagan, is it just been a sea of support, or has he always been that sort of price? And do you think he just proved very popular on the day?
Yeah, he was just put in at that very short price. I mean, his form, he's got pounds in hand, hasn't he? His form does look very, very good compared to... I know we've got a classic winner in here in Jan Bruegel, but, you know, he slammed Giavolotto. He had him far enough behind at Maidan and he's third in, so ground will be fine. Yeah, he just ticks so many boxes. He's going to be so hard to beat, I think. And
yet, there's a field full of 4 Group 1 winners in there.
And he hasn't won one yet.
He's not won one.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
Is that anything on him, do you think? Are there questions about it?
I don't think so. When you look back at what he's done in Group 1s, he was beaten by Anne Matt last year, beaten by City of Troy in the Juddmonte. So he's come close in Group 1s, just met horses that are better than him, and his Shima Classic run is the best form in the race.
Where I think there were a couple of things at play, but obviously you were here this day. The question was where he would be here against Japanese horses who, it's the end of their season, they're ripped and ready to roll and fit. I'm not suggesting he's not fit, but you are approaching this as Francis Graffard with an eye on a European campaign. So yeah, you want to look after him a touch.
Yeah, this was just a springboard for his European campaign, where you say, you know, the winner, Danon Dissel, another Japanese superstar in the red and white colours, and you see in the late Aga Khan's colours, Clandagan following him through, doing all of his best work at the end. And like you say, this was his first run since he was second in the Champion Stakes, and he's got the best form on offer in the Coronation, and he's just a solid performer, goes on any ground, and he's just top level.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Dan?
Yeah, well, he should win. I mean, you've got...
We're all in agreement.
Well, I mean, you've got Jan Bruegel as next in, and obviously I think they were looking at Illinois to come along here, and I think he's now going to be the cup horse with Kyprios still retired. So not as an afterthought, I think Jan Bruegel was always coming here as well, but he's a stout stayer, isn't he? Obviously winning a Betfred St Ledger already, so, and he's already beaten Giavolotto there, so I'm not sure if Al Riffa, I think he's still 50-50 whether he's going to go, so he just, yeah, I mean, like Mike says, that is by far the best form, and I think the fact he hasn't won a Group 1 is just an anomaly.
All right, let's move on to Jan Bruegel, who is a horse who, he looked so good last year, Goodwood Electric, although nothing fancy per se about him. He won the Betfred St Ledger, he's a classic winner, and then reappearance happened, Frankie, and it was very disappointing. The winner, Galen, was well supported before the off. He was sort of ridden quiet, he hung a bit. I don't know, it was just a bit of a head scratcher.
It was, I was going to say exactly that, bit of a head scratcher. Not that you'd expect him to come back absolutely bouncing, but you would have expected more, wouldn't you? He will obviously be a lot better than this day, won't he? But you'd like to see more here, really, from a classic winner, and you'd like to see him look more like he did last season, whereas doesn't really look like the same horse that won the Betfred St Ledger.
He wasn't happy. Look at his head cocked to one side. Ryan Moore struggling to get him off that rail. He sweated down his neck. It was quite noticeable. He just wasn't happy, this horse. Look at him hanging. Ryan, 2 hands on the rein. He can't get him off the rail to go and challenge. And in the end, Ryan realises he's not going to catch the winner anyway. Yes, it's 1.25 miles. It's way below his best distance. He's a very, very talented horse, this. I mean, when he won the Betfred Ledger, he really battled back to beat Illinois. He's very, very talented, but that was a worry to see him hang like that. I mean, how he's going to cope with Epsom. I suppose if he's going to hang, he's hanging the right way, because he'll be hanging right. He'll be the Cambril might straighten him out. So he's
about Illinois gave him a big form boost with his run at Chester, though.
Exactly.
They did opposite things, really, didn't they?
He's got so much talent. When he won at Goodwood, he ran off the turn, and he's a very talented individual. But I agree with Matt. I think he's probably going to be a cup horse, isn't he?
And do we think then 1.5 miles I know he's won over 10, he's won a mile and a half, he's won 14, but are you worried about the trip for him?
No, I won't say we're worried about the trip because it's going to be a truly run race, I think, isn't it? I don't think it's going to turn into a sprint. So, and you're right, it was impressive. Going to the Gordon Stakes, that's a mile and a half, isn't it? So he did it. He just ground it out. There's no electric turner pace. He is just. I think he's an out and out stayer, and I think he'll get further. So, I think it's going to be truly enough run race. I think he'll be fine to run his race. I don't think he's got the flashiness or the speed of Calandagan down the straight.
Do you think Rana go forward?
I was just about to say, I'm sure didn't he do that last year to win? And that was
there, isn't he, as well?
That was kind of would be the argument for him. Besides the fact he's a very good horse, is that he's got Ryan on board. And last year he did exactly that, didn't he? Turned for home in front, kicked, and said, "Catch me if you can." And with a horse that stays like he does, if you do give him a little bit on the front and just send him for home, he could be hard to catch, but. You come back to Calandagan and he's got a bit of speed about him, hasn't he? So
I think Ryan will go. It's the best way to, when you know a horse is awkward and hangs, it's the best way is to send them on, get the rail at Epsom, and then they've got to come by it. I had to do that on Pile Driver because he hangs so badly. You get the rail and then he can only come at you one side, and it gives you a better chance of keeping forward momentum. So I think you're right. I think he will commit on Jan Bruegel.
There we go. Sir Percy Pile Driver. We've got the Epsom double up.
Yeah.
We'll have the spread on 41.
I knew you'd start this.
I don't know what you're talking about. I won the Derby.
And I don't speak like that.
You didn't earlier. Let's have a look at the Hong Kong bars. And Giavolotto winning.
I won that as well, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
Who won?
Phoenix Reach.
There we go, Trevor. This horse is, I'm going to say the old cliche, he doesn't get the credit he deserves, but he isn't going to. I don't know why it is. I think maybe he started as a cup horse, he came back one over a mile and a half. Some ride this was as well, man.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, to say cup horses probably don't get the credit they deserve, but you're right, to drop back to a mile and a half, and he was very impressive when he won at Newmarket at the July meeting last year, and you're right, he's been an absolute star for the stable, hasn't he?
He's just got better and better, hasn't he?
Yeah, he'll want pace, I guess, but
I think there'll be plenty in there. So Continuous is in there. If Ryan wants to go forward as well, so it's definitely going to be a truly run race.
Is he good enough?
Probably not. He did surprise me on this day though, because I didn't have him down as having quite as much of a finishing kick. Like, he showed a good turn of foot to go and win there, which, depending on how the race unfolds, he could put to good use, but he's probably not good enough, is he? When you look at his run.
Why would he turn the form around from Dubai?
Yeah, I don't think he would.
Can you see a scenario where he wins?
No, I don't think he can turn that form around with Calandagan. I mean, he was at his best there. That was brilliant. Dropping back from 2 mile and a mile 6 being the making of him. Mile and a half is his distance, and we've seen that at his best. But I don't think he can turn that around with Calandagan. He was, what was he, 4 or 5 lengths behind in the Shima Classic. He could run well, and he's a talented horse.
The filly in there, You Got To Me, she's a classic winner, an Irish Oaks winner, daughter of Nathaniel, now in the colours of Ammo Racing, Martin. And this was defeat of content. It was then reversed subsequently, and I guess it all went slightly awry in the Ledger. First start for a little while.
Yeah, it's a first start since the Ledger, but again, she's got so much talent, this filly. This was first time tongue tie, she relaxed so much better. She'd been quite keen, hadn't she? She won the Lingfield Oaks trial really well, but very keen that day. 4th in the Oaks and 4th in the Ribblesdale. She's top quality filly, and when she settles, she's very, very good. It's just a question of, will she be too fresh and over race come Friday?
What do we think?
She danced every dance last year, didn't she? She must be hardy to take all them in and go to the well so often and still run well. But you're right, you're coming here first time against the Colts.
Big ask, isn't it? First run of the season. Yeah,
I guess against the boys as well. And but equally, I feel like when we've been through them, we've got question marks hanging over some of them. Maybe not so much Calandagan, but as you say, she was pretty solid last season, bar Doncaster, where
maybe over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had some real hard races.
I think it was a bridge too far, the distance for the Ledger.
We're all team Calandagan.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to take
8 to
30. You're dangling,
I want somebody to go, but
yeah.
It's hard to oppose him.
Only took us an 8 to 13 shot to agree.
What finished second then?
I'd probably have Giavolotto. Maybe if Jan Bruegel goes forward and isn't quite good enough. Dave Lotto's pick up the pieces.
I got this feeling. You know when you go through a race, before you go through a race with people and you're committed to something. Now I've got this feeling Jan Bruegel's just going to run a whole load better than last time. We're going to see a completely different horse.
It could happen. He's talented.
Like a very different horse. Take the point about the track, but he's got bags of ability.
Yeah, he's so much talent. And he'll get better with age and better, and he will be probably a cup horse.
He was fine at Goodwood though, wasn't he? He was fine in terms of the track. I mean,
he did run off the turn. Yeah. No, he did run off the turn at Goodwood, I remember, and then he got him balanced again, and he went again. He's a project. These cup horses, they don't start off, they don't know it all, and he was unbeaten last year, but he was still learning on the job. He was still making mistakes and winning. And then we just watched that VT from the Curragh. I just was, him sweating down the neck like he did, and his head carriage turned to one side. But I'm pretty sure the Ballydoyle Maestro was addressed wherever that was.
I've gone through this without giving a shout for anything Ryan Rise, which is probably incredibly stupid of me. So he has to win.
Or brilliant. Or brilliant.
Maybe.
And normally I'm a Ryan Moore fanboy. I just back whatever he's riding 95% of the time. But yeah, they seem to have a slightly weaker team this year than they have in the past couple of years.
Well, you've done all right in the trials then up till now.
Yeah, I have. That's been the plan.
Give everyone a final thought then, Epsom wide. Martin, your sort of parting gift can be about one horse that's lining up across the 2 days, or it can be generic about Epsom.
Well, front page of Racing Post, William Buick, I am riding the best 2 horses, and I think he is, but I don't think they'll stay. Delacroix and World for me, and Calandigan.
Frankie, the one thing you're most excited about, or your parting gift of yours?
I would like Pride of Aris to run a huge race. I'm hoping there's a lot of untapped potential.
You can give us some offers and remind us about those. Not so exciting for you.
Yeah. So we are obviously nominal no bet now on both the Betfred Derby and the Betfred Oaks, and we are top price at the minute. Desert Flower and Delacroix as well. So 6-4 Desert Flower. That will not be beaten right now. And Delacroix at 7-2. So you're going to shop around. You can take that right now.
There we are. Betfred top price on the 2 current Antipode's favourite for the Betfred Oaks and the Betfred Derby, where you can see the draw live on Racing TV from 10:45 on Wednesday. That's tomorrow as things stand from the Epsom Picture House Cinema. Draw go live about 11 a.m. and the programme starts at 10:45. There we are. Matt, thank you very much indeed. See you there.
Yep.
Looking forward to another trip round Epsom for a couple of days, no doubt, Frankie? It's
good
fun, isn't it?
It is good fun, yeah. Sometimes too much fun. It's not too much fun. It's good fun. It's great fun. I really enjoy it. And it's 2 days, so, go hard and enjoy it.
Derby still really do it for you?
Yeah, you get the butterflies in your stomach when you walk through those Epsom gates, and, I can't wait for it. I'm doing a draw tomorrow. Me and Willie Carson. What could go wrong?
I knew Rishi was hosting. Is it you and Willie?
Yeah.
That's going to be...
I'm nervous.
I would be.
Nick Luck actually saved me last year because I did pull one horse and I was telling Lucky as I was passing them over, and I got one of them wrong, and he double-checked and he was like, "Oh, sorry."
It's a big responsibility.
It is, yeah.
We've got the...
Nobody noticed.
We've borrowed the machine off the FA. It's the machine they use for the FA Cup draw. I'll do a Rod Stewart. Do you want a Rod Stewart?
Please, can you? Turn up swinging. That would be fantastic. That would be. Right, I'm definitely watching. I hope you are too. 10:45 a.m. tomorrow. That was a preview of the 3 Group 1s at the Betfred Derby Festival. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.